Hello, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world. So here I am again in a fine Saturday afternoon at home. Um, it's 3 p.m. in California here. I don't know what time it is in your part of the world. I hope it's as beautiful as here. So why don't you come to visit me? Um, I'll be spending time with you day and night, the entire weekend, September 1st throughout the 4th. So it's a full 2.5 days. Okay, so you're gonna flying in on the 1st of September and you're gonna stay until the 4th. So you're leaving on the 4th, going back home, wherever you are. So I really hope that, you would come for this very rare event, my very first feminine magnetism goddess retreat. So if you want to learn everything that I have talked about, this is the great chance for you to learn it one-on-one with me. Okay, so because just reading me through my blog, for example, is not quite the same to listening me direct, face to face, or even like listening to me with your eyes closed, maybe in your meditations, whatever. It really helps to nudge your awareness, to expand your awareness. So you get to see what I'm trying to convey to you through my inner process. So what I'm doing, again, I always have to uh, emphasize that what I'm teaching you is not theory. This is not something I learned from books. This is something that I go through. This is truly experiential. So in order for you to really get what I'm saying, you have to see it firsthand. A lot of you sometimes, want to argue, want to debate, and you approach what I say through the dualistic mind. And of course, it's not gonna work that way. So the only way for you to really understand what I'm saying is for you to look deep within yourself. Because everything I say, you can verify yourself in the laboratory of your own mind or your own psyche or soul, whatever you want to call it. So again, come to my beautiful home on the 1st throughout 4th of September. I would love to meet you. And we have 4 seats left for the special deals that includes the discounts and bonus programs, free programs for you. It practically just reduces the cost of the retreat to almost nothing. Because, the purpose is really just I want to give back, and I want to invite you to my sacred space or sacred inner space that is also, exemplified by the surrounding that I live, which is very beautiful, very celestial, very, very peaceful. So I live this peace within and without, and I will teach you how. Okay, so 4 seats left, and after that, prices will go up, and you might not get even the bonuses. So the bonuses and the discounts amount to over $500, everyone. So do not miss this. And I probably have it again sometimes next year in the summer. So I'm not gonna have it very often because I'm a very lazy and private person. So for me to do this, it takes a lot of me. You know what I'm saying? All right, ladies. Now, I want to talk about a very touchy subject. Sex. Yes. S-E-X. Sex. Right? So here, let me, I just got an email this morning from my client from India. Let's say her name is Krishna. Krishna says, "Thanks, Kat. I am in a happy place in life and in a committed relationship to be married soon." Yee! So Krishna will be engagement or is engagement number 20 this year. 20 ladies, once a week. And I'm not boasting when I say that. So she came to me because she had a problem with men, you know, like most of you. You just don't know how to deal with men. But she has a gripe about me, about my teachings, and she has repeatedly said so in the past too. So this is like at least her second or third email, you know, expressing her objection about sex. This is what she says. My only disconnect with you is your teaching is the free sex that you advise. Ooh, free sex. Do I teach free sex or paid sex? So, okay, anyway, I'm being silly. It creates immense karmic bonds and binds in women or men who are following it. Maybe it works in the Western culture. No wonder they're all so confused. Wow, there's a lot of judgment there. No wonder they're also confused. So, the rest of all your advice is bang on. And I do listen to all the audios I bought intermittently. Good luck. Thank you, from Krishna. So here, Krishna, if you're listening, I said to you in the email, finally I responded because the first email you sent me, I didn't respond. I said, congratulations to you, Krishna. And you are in the bind of a culture. Thus you're not free. So I understand, you know, a lot of culture is very traditional. I come from a very traditional culture myself. And a lot of people, in fact, in the US are still very conservative, very traditional too, right? So not just Indian culture that has an issue around sex. And I said, you need to embrace every part of you, including the promiscuous part, so you stop reacting to people who don't hold your beliefs like you do here. And my advice on sex even works. Many perpetually single women are in relationship thanks to that. Any other advice that tells them to hold out, you know, not to have sex until they're in a commitment, whatever, wouldn't work for women like that. And they will continue to be perpetually single. And you don't have to believe what I say. Look it within yourself. Are you the one who is so closed off, like emotionally, sexually? How is it working for you? If it's working for you, stick to it. If it doesn't, this is why. Because it's not working. Because you're closed off emotionally. And you have intimacy phobia. Okay, so those of you who come to me who are perpetually single, who are so worried about putting out, this is a class made just for you. And I said that karmic bonds, what kind of science backs that up? Nothing. It's a belief system. And I don't have any belief. And instead of trying to impose whether or not your opinion or your belief is right or wrong, I offer you something that is far more expansive to your awareness. So instead of worrying about whether or not your opinions are right or wrong, or whether your belief is right or wrong, look at that belief very closely. Very closely. What does it mean? Beliefs are the product of the seeking mind. Because you know what? The mind cannot tolerate ambiguity. The mind cannot tolerate the unknown. The mind needs to know. The mind needs do's and don'ts. Isn't it true? Look at that within yourself. Okay, so it is whatever whose opinion it is. You know, I understand you following him. He is your guru. So what? It's just his opinion. It's not necessarily fact. How can he prove it? That there is a karmic bond when you engage in sex with anyone. How can you prove it? So I don't teach you to follow opinions, but to explore within yourself. Find out for yourself. Your prejudice is in the way though. That's what belief is. Belief is none other than a set of prejudices. Isn't it true? Again, just look within yourself again. And you gain success through what I teach yourself. So don't stop there. Don't let prejudice hold you back. What is it about sex that makes your panties get in a bunch? Is it trauma or is it conditioning? Most likely it is conditioning. So don't you want to know the real truth? So instead of looking for validation for your own prejudice, that's where you need to put your focus on. Okay, your focus on should be why I believe what I believe. Okay, be curious. Because you're going to project whatever unresolved issues you have onto others, as you obviously have unresolved issues regarding sex here. So be curious, find out what it actually is. What are you trying to prove to yourself if whatever you believe in works for you, right? Whatever you repress is going to go underground. And then it's gonna pull the strings from the dark. That is what shadow is. Because whatever you think it's so wrong, so bad, so sinful, you're going to repress it. So if you want to know what the things you've been repressing, you want to look at your dreams. What do you dream about usually at night? So those dreams will tell you about the stuff that you are yearning for. So for example, if you've been imposing yourself to be celibate, so it's not a natural celibacy. I have nothing against celibacy if it's natural. And I also have nothing against, crazy sex, a lot of sex, if it's a natural thing for you. So it's different for everyone, right? So if you're celibate, but because it's natural, it's not something that you impose through your belief system that comes from the mind, then that is okay too. So when you say something like, oh, you teach free sex. No, I just teach that everything in life is a paradox, even sex. There is no right or wrong about sex. What makes it right or wrong is the seeking mind, is your need to be in the known about everything, is your need to not to be thrown into this ambiguity, this sort of like uncertainty. The mind doesn't like it, and that's why you don't like it either. So you want to follow a set of rules, do's and don'ts. And if you follow me, you're going to be so shocked so many times. And I don't blame you for that. And I know that a lot of women have a problem with me because I won't validate their prejudices. I won't validate their belief systems. And that is okay. So if you don't find certain parts of my teachings not resonating with you, that is actually a challenge for you to look inside yourself. Again, it's always about looking inside yourself. Why is it that what she says bothers me so much? What is it? Right? So that is how you become expanded. Okay? So I don't follow anyone's opinion. I don't follow anyone's opinion at a face value myself. I don't have a guru. Yeah, I like to quote certain people that I admire because in my journey right now, those people resonate with me, which means I could verify what they say through my own self-investigation, through my own self-observation. So yes, I'm agreeing with them because we share the same experience. But does it mean that I would agree with everything they say? No, of course not. Okay? That is a definition of following someone without self-investigation. That is what mind stuff is all about. Anything I teach, I have verified in the lab of my own mind or psyche. Hence what I teach works. There is no other reason for that, because it's psychologically savvy. It takes into account human nature in all its complexity. Deduction and exclusion doesn't do that. But you need to more inner work to understand what I say. The mind will always deduce and exclude, because the function of the mind is to impose limitations, to impose restrictions, so everything can be made sense of. But then again, you cannot grasp the entire truth of everything, of anything, with the mind. The mind will always miss out on something. That's why, those who have done the inner work see the glorious nature of paradoxes in life. Life is so full of paradoxes. It's not dualistic. It's not bad or good, right or wrong, moral or immoral. There are so many shades of grays in between. So the more you are expanded, the more you will be able to see these nuances. And the more restricted you are in your self-awareness, the more you will find yourself conflicted with the world. Because the world wouldn't always validate your prejudice. The world will challenge your belief system. And if you're not aware of it, you're going to be thrown off by this sort of reactiveness, right? This is what happens when people have a split mind. They're going to carry this conflict into the world, okay? And then sex is one of the most fundamental things that cause people to have split minds. The shame and the guilt is so unnecessary. It's only because you impose your own very strict, very rigid belief system into it, which is not necessarily the case. It's not objectively speaking. So unless you can see that, see that gray area, whatever it is, it can be sex, it can be politics, it can be religion, anything that you very strongly believe in, then you will always be triggered and bothered by all these things. Okay, Krishna? And congratulations with the marriage once again. But you might want to see into this sex thing, because whatever is unhealed, you're going to carry this into your relationship and into your marriage. Okay, and then, yeah, I know you say that, yeah, I'll find you when I need that help. Okay, thank you so much for your trust in me. Now, still related to that, actually, this is another, this is like case in point of what I say, that women who are so into the mind stuff that I need to hold out until whatever, commitment, engagement, marriage, to have sex, they are perpetually single. How do I know? Because I deal with them all the time. They come to me in droves. That's how I know. One of them is Cheryl. Cheryl just actually got the ebook probably 2 days ago. So she knew. She was quite the same way too. Like, she believes that, I'm not having sex unless I'm in a relationship. And I said to her that, your black and white approach to dating or to men isn't working. So your approach about sex is not whether or not I'm going to have a commitment out of this, but whether or not do you want to have sex in the moment. Okay, don't make it into a bargaining chip. There is no guarantee either way. Believe me, there's no guarantee. Even people who are married get divorced. So what is the use for seeking guarantee through having sex? That is so silly and so ridiculous. And please, most guys won't buy, I wait until a relationship. That's what black and white approach really is. And I'm sorry to be blunt to you ladies, but you guys have this GPS, or golden pussy syndrome. This is like the opposite of GCS, which is golden cock syndrome. So women who are so closed off and haven't had sex in years, they have this GPS, right, going on, golden pussy syndrome. But I'm sorry to be blunt here, your pussy and all that, really, these guys can get it anywhere else. That's what sexual hang-up is, okay? So, and then to that, surprisingly, Cheryl said this. Thank you for your quick response, Kat. I've decided to follow your method 100%. I have tried the other ways for years, and I am single, childless, and lonely. I sat with my heart in quiet meditation, and what I realized was that I was terrified to have sex because I was scared I would lose control and turn into a crazy stalker again. Many years ago, when I drank, I had no control over myself. I really was a crazy stalker, and I behaved in ways I was ashamed of. But I realized I am not that person anymore. I can trust myself. I listened to your feminine magnetism class, and I realized this is the healing. Okay? So, Cheryl is a fast learner. Just on the first email, she quickly sort of, grabs my challenge and looks into herself. Why am I so against sex? Now she found out what the real reason was. The real reason was she was scared that she would act like a stalker or act like crazy. Because a lot of you have done it, right? You have sex, you have a sexton like 5 times in a row, and the next day, crickets. He doesn't say hello, he doesn't send good morning text, good night text, and he did all that before the sex happened. So of course you feel very duped, right? You feel very neglected, and you're resentful, and you want to just to lash out. But this is also related to some other question that, oh, I'm so scared of being hurt again. What should I do? If you are aware right now of your tendency of being hurt, of acting crazy, that in itself is enough, because that means you are aware. You are aware. If you are aware, you are safe. The only reasons you act like a crazy bitch is because you're not aware. So you let your thoughts consume you. That is what you do that make you act crazy. I have a visitor. So, but if you are aware, the minute that tendency starts to bubble, you already see it, like face to face. Look, anxiety, I get you. You are just bubbling up now. Now you can cut the crap. You know what I'm saying? Remember, in previous classes, I talk about whatever dissolves and disappears in your awareness, that is sin. So, when you bring awareness into these negative emotions, either anxiety, resentment, anger, or anything at all that throws you off the loop, throws you in the roller coaster of emotions, just by bringing awareness into it, those things dissolve. That is what sin is. And virtue is whatever deepens in your awareness. Love, compassion, that deepens in awareness. How do you know? Well, look into yourself again. I will never tell you, believe me. Sometimes I do say, trust me, believe me. But really, the best thing for you to really know what I'm saying is to just look inside your own mind. Unravel the mechanics of your wiring, how the mind works, and you will understand yourself. And when you understand yourself, you understand God. You understand humanity, and you understand people. You understand your partner, and you understand just everyone. And because you understand everyone, you understand the world, how things come to be, compassion arises. So there is no need for a special technique or the to-do list, how to be compassionate. Compassionate arises when the sense of separation dissolves. As simple as that. When you no longer see yourself as a separate entity, separate from everything else in the world, you, by the very definition, is one with the universe. You are one with the rhythm of life. And because there is no sense of separation, you are compassionate by nature. Because you don't want to cause problems in the world. Because you just enjoy being, at peace with yourself, being in a state of no conflict inside. So if there is no conflict inside, why do you want to create conflict in the world? Why do you want to fight with people? You just don't have that drive, don't have that energy for that. Okay? So it's very simple. So whenever you are aware, the fact that you are aware right now, I have this tendency to go crazy on a guy when I don't get my expectations met. That is enough, meaning you have expanded without you even knowing it. So next time that feeling arises, that craziness, just like bubbling, brewing inside you, just ready to explode, right? You will be able to grab hold of it before it becomes like a monster. Okay? So in just with the virtue, in the virtue of just being aware, you will be fine. You will be safe. So there is no need to worry about being hurt again and being ghosted again. So what if he ghosted? There are like a few millions, at least a few hundreds eligible men in your neighborhood or in your country. So one goes, the other will arrive, will show up. So have an abundant mentality, okay, ladies? So let's move on to some other topic. So if you have any more question about sex, you can ask that in the comment section. Okay, so let me read the few questions that came earlier today. Here from Helen. I got quite a few similar questions these days, not just about relationship, but also about career, job. How do you find out what you truly want to do with your life, career-wise? I don't have any idea what I want to do for the rest of my life. I have a college degree in lab science, but I want to find something that truly fulfills me inside and doesn't feel like work. Thanks. Again, this is the common question that everyone would ask at some point in their lives. And of course, I did that too, I did all the the wrong stuff that didn't really showcase who I was or who I am. But I had to go through that to know that it wasn't my thing, right? Because when you were young, admittedly, you really don't know what you're gonna do with your life. Like when you were 18, you just finished high school. How would you know what subject is gonna be great for you, right? Especially if you don't have like parents or mentors who can talk to you, about this thing, because they don't know themselves. So when I was, for example, when I finished high school, I thought I wanted to be a doctor, right? But then at that time, I spent 12 years of my life up to that point studying, because I was such an avid student. I was a star student, and school was my life. My identity was so intimately intertwined with my school, with my the fact that I'm a star student. This is like everything to me. It's like my ambition. This is who I am. I want to be known as the smartest among the bunch. That was my ambition when I was young, up through high school. So after high school, all of a sudden, I just lost all this desire to sit in the class for hours and listening to these professors who just, just cure my insomnia half an hour into their lessons, to their classes, right? So at that time, I just wanted to explore my other side, which is playing, having fun, because I didn't have much of it growing up. Like, I didn't date, nothing like that, right? So because I denied that part of me, then it kind of sort of came rushing in when I finished high school to become the total opposite. This is what I mean. I always say that you need to embrace the both sides of you. If you're a prude, at some point, maybe it wouldn't necessarily that you plan it that way. It just happens. At some point, you would want to explore your other side, which is your promiscuous side. Ooh, I bet some of you cringe to hear that P word, promiscuous. Ooh, no, I cannot be promiscuous, right? So it's the same. So you need to explore both extremes of the spectrum to become whole. That is the only way you can come into the middle, to become moderate. So I've been a prude until high school, all my life. I didn't know guys, didn't know nothing like that at all. My life was just about one thing and one thing only: study. It's about making my parents proud. Sorry, ladies. Okay, so, and it works the other way around. If you're so promiscuous, then you would hump anything that moves. So you might want to walk to the other side too, embracing your prudish side. Okay, and a lot of us naturally do that because it's not something that the mind instructs you to do. It's just something your natural self brings you to do. So go back to the career choice. So because I didn't know what I wanted, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Then I realized, that was too much commitment, to study to be a doctor. Then, people said, oh, why don't you be an accountant? Because accountants can always find a job. It's very easy. So, silly me, I just followed that. So I went to accounting study, not knowing I hated every part of it. It just wasn't me at all. But then again, by that time I was already spending 3 or 4 years, and I don't want to lose my investment. So I sort of like begrudgingly, reluctantly, tried my best to finish my school, to finish college years, and I finished it in 7 years. 7 years of accounting, and still not very good at it. All my friends finished after 3 or 4 years, and me, it took me 7 years, and I still have nightmares about it. That's how much I hated it. Okay, my nightmare always revolves around, there is one last subject you need to take before you can graduate, and I go, oh my God, save me. That was my trauma growing up, trying to finish this school that I hated so much. Okay, so I didn't know that my interest is in psychology. This is why now I naturally gravitate toward helping people through the understanding of the human mind, through the human characters, through the understanding of human nature, right? It doesn't come because I follow the crowd, because people tell me this, that. Yeah, they kind of help in a way that it helped me eliminate what is not right for me. So, and Helen, to answer your question, do not approach it from the mind. Okay? Had I known what I know today, I would just let myself, without the interference of the mind, guide me into what I like. So what you are is more obvious than than you think. So see in your life at this very moment, what makes you happy? What do you love doing? What do you spend most hours undisturbed and in the state of inner peace? That is who you are. Do not look, far and distant about this thing. It's the likelihood is it's already staring in your face, but you cannot see it because it doesn't fit the narrative of what you should be doing. Doesn't fit the ideal of what you think you should be doing. Okay, so in other words, if you want to know what you're good at, just do your own thing. Focus on your own thing right now. If you're working, be one with the task. Be in the state of flow. You cannot be in the state of flow unless your mind is grounded in the moment, unless your mind is quiet. So practice meditation. Practice being aware of your thoughts. Practice cultivating gaps between your thoughts. Sooner or later, you find answer in your quiet mind. Remember, the answer to your life puzzles doesn't come when you're thinking. The answer to your life puzzles come when the mind is quiet and most at peace. Okay, Helen? So you want to practice it and see it in a week or a month or so where it leads you. Okay? Do not seek for success. Seek first of all, to be at home where you are, to be at home doing what you're doing. That has to come first. And then because you're feeling at home with what you're doing, you can then be at peace with what you're doing. Then you can minimize all these noises in your head telling you to go in that direction, to go in that direction, this direction, telling you to be like that person, like this person. Just be you. Be who you are. And you cannot know who you are unless you cultivate the gaps between thoughts. Okay? I hope that helps. So Helen, come to the retreat and I'll teach you some more about this art of living, art of being. Okay. This is from Christine. How do you keep from getting attached if you are sleeping with someone regularly? And how do you navigate it if you are sleeping with someone still in rotation and then someone else asks you to sleep with him? Okay, what I'm going to say is not going to fit your prejudice about right or wrong, obviously. So, if you get offended, again, it's a sign that, it's something that you need to work within yourself. So if you're single, you just have to embrace the fact that you're not going to be bound to anyone. That is the very definition of being single, correct? If you're bound to anyone, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. That is the very definition being in a committed relationship. So when you're single, you have to be open to all possibilities. That is going to maximize your chance of meeting the one and having a healthy and lasting relationship with that person. So if you already close yourself off early in the game because you're so worried about the image, which, by the way, it's all this image thing, is pretty much you are watching yourself, but it feels like Jesus watching you, isn't it? Like it feels like God or whatever, your deity is watching you. Like, ooh, I know you're being naughty. I saw you dry hump Jonathan the other day, right? That kind of feeling. Again, by being aware, you will know why you have this sense of shame and guilt about sex, because you feel you are being watched. Then again, that is the conditioning you have got since you were in the crib, so you don't know any better. That is why a lot of damage into mental health in the world is it has been caused so early in life. Since you were in the crib, all this conditioning, cultural conditioning, really damages you. That's why I am now a person with no culture. I can fit in most. Obviously, I'm gonna choose a society that supports, my predisposition for freedom, like the United States, for example, right? So I wouldn't be living in places that are so like puritanical when it comes to sex, mating, dating, and relating to the opposite sex. So if you're in a society like that, and you have the means, then move somewhere else that will, fight more with your values. So because I'm a person of no culture, I'm empty inside. I pretty much fit with most situations, especially now I live in pretty much a liberal, free society, right? So to me, I don't have any hang up about cultural prejudices anymore. I just think that, everyone is right and everyone is wrong. Meaning that, whatever you believe in, there is some truth in it. That's why I say the dualistic mind is an illusion. Whatever you believe in, you're going to find evidence of. So you believe in one thing, you'll find evidence of. You believe in the total opposite of thing, you'll find the evidence of too. And the likelihood is the truth is somewhere in the middle. That's why where I am more like a center person, a middle of the road kind of person. I can see agreements with both sides, and I can use one value over the other at one time and not the other. So it depends. It depends on circumstances, right? So I'm not rigid. I'm not fanatical about anything. So if you're single, likelihood is, okay, you like this guy, you sleep with him, but you know in your heart that he's not committed to you. So in other words, he will sleep with other women. Rest assured, guys who are not committed to you will sleep with other women if such chance arises. And he's not a bad man for doing that. He's not bad. He's just, exercising his options. Like you would too. You would too. So when you understand human nature, you recognize yourself in everyone, you are done with this reactiveness because you see yourself in everyone. So, say, since you are still rotating, guys, so you have no idea one way or another what to do. You just do whatever feels good, whatever feels right moment to moment. Okay, so say the other guy, another guy in your rotation has been stepping up more so than your EUM that you adore so much, then yeah, why won't you give him a chance? He's one of the contenders. So when such chance arises that, the relating leads into that, yeah, by all means, do it when it feels right in the moment. But don't do it because you think you should or you should not, then you don't do it. You know what I'm saying? You do it because in your heart, you feel connected to this person and you want to explore more. You want to share intimacy. You want to share the bonding experience. So unless you find out how it feels with him, you may never be able to win yourself of your addiction to your EUM. So, and you're single. So, exercise your options. There is a time for monogamy. And believe me, once you're in a monogamous relationship, sometimes you are, you feel like, oh, I miss my rotational days in which is, meet new guys, which is, again, human nature. It's a natural thing. Monogamy isn't a very natural thing. It's doable, but it's not gonna be like, oh, it's so passionate. It's so exciting every day having sex for the next 50 years with the same person. It's not gonna be like that. Your focus is gonna be something else when you are in a relationship. It's no longer about passionate sex. It's about emotional bond. So, okay. So don't put the carriage before the horse. So one thing at a time, one step at a time. First, you have to consume the last part of a relationship because that won't last. I'm telling you, that won't last. After 2 years, you are on your own. You are on your own. So you have to work on yourself, how to deal with your own unresolved issues to be able to live happily in a monogamous relationship. Okay? How is that, Christine? I hope that answer your question. So yeah, just keep the rotation. The minute you like another guy as much as you like your EUM, that attachment is being reduced. That is how it works. That's why I make it like mandatory for you to date around until a man claims you, because otherwise you're gonna be so hooked on this one guy because you have no help to expand your awareness of what's available out there. Okay? Okay, this is a question from Murph. We say that men know what to do to claim us, but what if they actually don't know how to balance us in their lives and turn what we have into a relationship? I often feel that my main guy doesn't have a clue how to handle this, but I don't want to direct him, obviously. 2 days ago, he made himself vulnerable, which I like because he's usually very proud, by texting me. You don't care about me at all. Sometimes you answer me very superficially or is as if you're bored or nothing matters to you. I always write you and try to arrange myself to be with you. I mirrored him in the conversation and didn't try to lead him. But after that, he didn't come to the party I organized because he has to work until 1 a.m. And there is no sign of another plan to meet. I'm not saying anything though. We'll see. You know, guys who are not really interested in you, they would gaslight. As simple as that. They would say, oh, but you're not chasing me. You're not calling me like these other women. You're not making yourself available. Basically, what they say is, I want you to pursue me for free sex. Yeah, that's what they want. Yeah, sure. So, no, stick to your gun. What you need to do as a woman is simply just being responsive and receptive. If you respond, a guy will know you're interested. Especially if you sleep with him, he knows you're interested. You know, everything else is just him gaslighting you, telling you that, you know, we're not amounting to anything because you're not doing anything. Well, the minute you try to do things, of course, he's nowhere to be found, right? So they tell you, call me or text me. When they do, they are very wishy-washy. So you cannot win with guys like that. So whenever they say, call me, I said, yeah, sure, but don't do it. You know, Joey used to do that too when we first went out. Like, you know, don't be a stranger. You know, okay, fine, right, whatever. No, and the fact, you know, I never initiated anything with Joey, but he thought anyway that I did. So you can imagine women often overdo this thing to show interest, not realizing how much you overdo it. I never initiated a phone call, never initiated a conversation, but he thinks I did because I'm naturally showing my interest in him. Okay, so when you're interested in a guy, when you're so attracted to a guy, there is very little chance you can hide it from him anyway. So you don't need to overdo this sort of interesting by calling him, texting him, and all that. That is nonsense, okay? A guy who is into you and a guy who finds out that you're very responsive, very warm, he will know right away that you are into him. And he will think that you are actually, like in our case, you know, initiating some of the time without you actually initiating. Okay, so let's see what questions do you have here, right here. Let me see. All right, no question. So I will just read. Here, Sophia. This is from Sophia. Hi, Kat. Is it too reactive to get upset when, after a night of intimacy, the next morning I caught him text his other friend, quote unquote? I didn't say anything, but when he left, I told him what he did wasn't cool. And can he wait till he leave my home to chat with his friends? Background is I let him go over 8 months ago and he kept at me. This was my experience since I thought it was rude. Yeah, is it wrong? Probably. If you ask me right or wrong, there is no such thing as right or wrong, but there is a more effective way of approaching this thing. So you don't know what he's texting about, so you cannot control other people, right? So if he wants to be rude, you consider that rude, it's really on you. I'm sorry, but that is your expectations of him. He's not your boyfriend. And he is free to do anything, Yeah, even though whatever, some of you might not agree, he has to do this, to do that after sex. Do you know that Joe left right away after sex? Did it bother me? No, not at all. Because I thought, what else do you want to do? It's like 2 a.m. I want to sleep too. Let him sleep in his bed. I want to sleep in my bed without someone snoring next to me. So try to approach anything that bothers you from a different point of view. Apply a different story. Instead of believing in everything your mind tells you, that is what makes you reactive, because you're a believer of the gremlins in your head. You are the congregation instead of the priest in your headspace temple. Okay? Yeah, if you believe everything your mind tells you, you're gonna just lure with vinegar. So he's busy talking to his friend, maybe you're busy talking to your friend. Mirroring works wonder. Works so much better than telling a guy off, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't that, murdering him to death. Okay, so if you're bothered by this thing, it shows that you are feeling lack inside. If you always see things from the point of view of I'm not being respected, it's because you don't feel you are enough. It's nothing to do with him. Again, it always goes back to why you believe in what you believe. Why do you believe you're not enough? Joey left after sex didn't bother me because I knew I was enough. And I knew I was the bomb. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he wants to live good. But I know he will come back. Right? So you cannot expect too much if a guy is not there yet emotionally. When he's there emotionally, he will do the right things to keep you. But you have to be the right woman first before that comes. Okay, Sophia? All right. Let's see another question here. I have 34% left battery on my computer. So, let's see. This is from Nicole. Why would a man keep asking you to move into his house with him if he hasn't verbally claimed you? We've been dating a while. He acts like a boyfriend in all ways and doesn't want me to pay anything if I accept. Seems backwards and would be harder for me to rotate. So sometimes, Nicole, claiming doesn't always have to be verbal unless he specifically tells you, oh, we're not in a relationship. This is casual. Even though he acts like a boyfriend, but his mouth, they say something else, then yeah, you need to sort of just adjust to that. But if he doesn't say anything either way, but he's showing you through his actions, he's claiming through his energy, then yeah, he's claiming you. So he asks you to move in with him. If you don't feel it's safe for you to do that, meaning that it's too early in the game for you to do that, then don't do that. Maybe because you know, if it's only like few months already in the relationship, don't rush moving in, because then you don't know each other enough. So just say to him, like, you know, I don't know if we are ready for that next step yet. So let him, you know, tell you more if he has something else to say. Okay? So he doesn't need to sort of claim you verbally, but you can tell from his actions, you know, whether or not he's fully in. And you can know through his actions when he's not with you, if he's committed to you. A guy who is committed to you will always want to know, you know, what you're doing most days. Maybe not every day, but most days. He will call, to, you know, in between dates. You know, he would want to talk to you. He want to hear your voice. Okay? If he's not doing it, then he's not there yet. Doesn't mean he won't, but he's not there yet. There is no sense for you to keep pushing him to do things as a boyfriend does when he's not there emotionally. Okay? All right, let's see. This is from Andrea. How do you deal with anger or taking offense as something your guy does or says? What is a good way to deal with the physical sensation or trigger? Is it better to avoid responding in the moment or taking a time out? Thanks for everything, Kat. This is related to the question I just answered, Sophia's question. How do you deal with anger? Anger is the result of the running commentary in your head telling you angry stories, telling you violation to the self. That's why you're angry. So when you are in the bind of these angry thoughts, just be aware. And again, what else can you do other than be aware of the movement in your mind space? Oh, the gremlin said I need to lash out because he's being disrespectful. So when you are aware of that very thought arising, you can make a decision. Do I want to continue on this train of thought, or do I want to end it here? And you might also want to breathe into that thought. So breathing is the most effective way in the moment for you to grab hold of yourself, to grab hold of your emotions. When you breathe and when you focus on your breathing, you cannot think at the same time. Okay? Practice it yourself. Now focus on your breathing. In and out, being aware of the ins and outs of your breathing. Can you think at the same time? Tell me. Can you? In, out, in, out. You see, that is how you loosen up the grip of the ego, by focusing on your breathing. So that is one of the quickest way to get hold of your emotions. But sometimes, you know, you just want to lash out anyway. I do still lash out sometimes, don't get me wrong. I do lash out, I say whatever, but then again, I quickly let go. I lash out, maybe for a few seconds, a minute or two at the most. If it escalates, because obviously if you lash out, the other person will be defensive too, right? And then it's going to be tit for tat. So before it escalates, I usually just cut it off short. I don't go into detail discussing my feelings and talking about it again more, why he's wrong and why I'm right, because that will only make you even angrier, okay? So instead of engaging in this nastiness, I'm done. I don't want to talk about it, okay? So you can just be quiet. Yeah, you'll be sulking for a little bit, or you just remove yourself from the situation and leave. Go somewhere else, you know, calm yourself down, okay? So maybe later on, minutes later, or hours later, you still want to talk about it, then it's a good time. It's a better time for you to discuss it, to talk about it. But most of the time, you already lose the desire to really dwell on it. Okay? So a lot of times, things don't need to be discussed because that's what the mind is. The mind always looks for problems. The more you are adapt to the things that I talk about, to the things that I teach, the less and less thing really matters in your life. And the less and less you are engaged in all this drama with people, with anything, because it's all bullshit. Really, it's just the creation of the mind, and your mind is super shallow, super shallow. Doesn't matter whose mind it is, the mind is shallow. Okay, until you have seen the nature of the mind, then you can transcend it. But if you're still under the mind spell, you will forever think that the mind is you, and the mind will always lead you to a very dark place. Okay, so it's very important for you to see how the mind works. And everything that I teach is nothing but for you, but an invitation for you to really understand the mechanics of thoughts. Once you understand the mechanics of thoughts, how they work, how the mind works, then you would understand the mechanics of the disappearance of thoughts. The disappearance of thoughts come naturally when the nature of the mind has been seen. Okay, there is this very beautiful poem or poetry that the Buddha uttered at the time of his enlightenment, and I always found the poem very extremely meaningful, extremely profound, and I didn't understand the meaning of it until probably 3 years ago. After my awakening, I totally understood what he meant. But before that, I was just so taken by the beauty of the poetry without really having a full understanding what it truly means. So this is what it says. Through the round of many birds I roam, without reward, without rest, seeking the house builder. Painful is birth, again and again. House builder, you are seen. You will not build a house again. All your rafters are broken, the ridge pole destroyed, gone to the unformed. The mind has come to the end of craving. It's beautiful, isn't it? So, what does it mean? House builder, you are seen. So the Buddha is talking about his very experience of seeing what the mind is made of. So what is the ego? So now he sees things as they truly are. So because the mind has been seen, the mind can no longer dupe you. So the mind is the house builder. What is the house that the Buddha is talking about? The house is this mental disease, whatever it is that struggling at the moment in your life. That is the house he's talking about. It's either anger, resentment, or just neurosis. The problems that arise from having a self. That is the house he's talking about. Mind disease, the ego, or the suffering. So suffering builder, you are seen. Your rafts have been broken and your poles destroyed. You can no longer build a house. You can no longer build suffering, because the house as the suffering is just an illusion. You create that illusion through your unconsciousness, through you being not aware. That's the very definition of being not awake, meaning you are dreaming, but you don't know you're dreaming. The minute you are awake, you will participate in the dreams, but the entire time you know you're dreaming, so you don't take anything seriously anymore. Okay? So Andrea, I hope that answers your question. Whew. I don't know. Shall we continue or what? It's 21% left here. There are a few more questions. Let's see. This is from Selina. How do you know if your wounds are healed? I thought mine were healed when I was dating my ex-EUM, but not until he started to fade away. All my old anxieties were kicked out, or kicked in probably. I knew he was not interested, and I'm kind of disappointed that he is another man that leaves my life. He did come back and message me, and I just responded lightly, but he put minimal action, so I had to let him go emotionally. We all know if the man can keep putting effort before we even fall for them. Selina, you know if your wounds are healed when you're no longer bothered by it. But then at the same time, don't get so like bogged down into a concept of being wounded. Yeah, you're being anxious. Forgive yourself for being anxious. Then again, you know, if you're aware that anxiety will go in a second, but if you entertain your anxiety as if it's some kind of an indication that you are damaged, for example, you will only worsen the anxiety. Do you understand? So by you resisting your anxiety will make you even more anxious. So by you accepting whatever it is arises in the moment in your field of consciousness, the very thing that arises will naturally go away because it's not being resisted. So what you resist, as I always say, persist. Okay, if you're anxious, yeah, it's okay to be anxious. It's human nature to be anxious. What's not okay is when you keep it alive through your resistance, through you beating yourself up, for example. So how do you deal with anxiety or the feeling of rejections or the feeling that you're not good enough? As I said earlier, provide yourself with a different story that is not yours. People have different stories. Pick one that works for you the best in the moment, okay? Because whatever story you believe in about anything, it's only partially true. There are different truths that are probably the opposite of your story, okay? So be comfortable with paradoxes of life. Nothing is black and white. Okay, this also comes with practice. So whenever you come, please come to the retreat, Selina, and I'll teach you one-on-one how to do this. Okay. All right, ladies. So this is from Mia. One last question. My EUM, long-distance relationship, asked me to come to see him after his son leaves to Brazil, back to his mom. I ended the relationship before meeting Kat about a month ago. I wish I had known her before. And he sent me a kiss by text, which he hasn't done in a long time. What do I do? Do I go? How do I act? I really love him. We were together since last September. Really good. But I ruined it by putting an ultimatum. Well, he blows you a kiss, blow a kiss back. That's just respond nicely, respond warmly, and move on. You know, likelihood is he's already forgetting. He already forgot what you did, and he's now missing you. So guys are very forgiving and forgetful. So that is a sign for you that let's start a new chapter. So start a new chapter. Don't go back to the past. Don't talk about it. Act as if nothing happened, really. Unless he brings it up, then, there is no point for you to bring the subject up. Then it's the same as bringing the talk. Okay, ladies, I think it's enough. I have 16% left. So I just want to say one thing, ladies, please, come to the retreat again. We have 4 seats left for the very discounted price, plus the bonuses in programs. You can choose, right? And I also have, since this very subject today is about sex mainly, I have 1 class left with module 4, which is celebrating your feminine sexuality and healing your sexual trauma. So this bonus class will likely happen next weekend. And I will discuss or talk about how to be in touch with your desire, with your feelings in your body, whatever it is, your sexual feeling, by bypassing the mind, how to be okay, how to surrender to your feminine desire. It's okay to be horny. It's okay to feel you want to have sex. It's okay to like a guy that you want to have sex with him. So I will teach through some practice we will do how to approach this very troubling subject to your consciousness. Okay, how just to put the mind aside and learn to be more present in your body, not in your head. Your head is the trash. If you sleep, eat in the trash, of course, you're gonna sting to high heaven. Then you're gonna act like like a person who is not embodying the peace that that men are gravitated toward, the groundedness that men are gravitated toward. Okay, so it's a module consisting of 4 classes of 4 weeks. With this bonus class is the 4th class, and after that module, we will venture into the last module of the Feminine Magnetism Group Coaching, which is module 5, Salvation Through Relationship. By the way, I've never taught this program, so this is brand new. So everything I teach through my own evolution. So I didn't teach this earlier because I wasn't ready for it. I didn't have the experience for it. Now I do, and I want to share it with you. So it's gonna be another 3 or 4 weeks because you know me, I love to talk. And it takes me a long time to finish with one subject, right? That's why it's almost 90 minutes again. So sign up for that Salvation Through Relationship, which is module 5, and learn the path toward wholeness, through healing your childhood wounds, healing your unresolved issues while your partner is holding a mirror in front of you. So you will know that relationship in actuality is really a spiritual practice. It's a spiritual journey. It teaches you a lot of things, and you will learn so much through this program. And if you want the cheapest rate, sign up today because it will go up when the program starts. Ladies, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you again sometimes, probably next week. Bye-bye.